We should have boundaries and systems in place. And the lack of boundaries is so obvious all of the time. Texting with your clients, don't do it unless it's on a formulaic basis. So I never had a Friday night, oh no, I'm drinking too much. What do I do? I never had anything because I'd set my boundaries. And those boundaries really help us maintain that bucket of energy or empathy that we need to be able to run our lives and our businesses and everything else that goes with it, because running your own business is a lot more energy than working for somebody else. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. If you want to connect with me, always check the show notes because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast and the Strategy Lab. How's it going with you at the moment? For me, the weather has closed in. It's cold. It's raining. The magpies are having the best time ever. I'm friends with all my magpies. There's no swooping here. And they are warbling away in my garden, enjoying the fact that all of the little bugs are at the surface for them to clean off and eat. I've got galahs gliding past, all of the parrots that I can have. It's just fabulous at the moment, but it's cold. I don't have a fireplace and I don't have a bath. I have a shower to clean myself. But there are some things I'm missing in this house from my old house. And so there's lots of change. And of course, I'm still moving. A year later, there are still boxes. We still have not unpacked certain things. And some of my office things have not been unpacked. So that's what I've been doing. I've been emptying drawers. That's the way I tidy, is I empty out a drawer or a cupboard. Being in the wardrobe, I've put the summer things away and brought out the winter clothes. But my office drawers are in here. I've got one wall that's office. And I've had to empty all the drawers, take everything out to put everything back in. And while I was doing that, I came across some cards. I used to read cards. There is a little bit of woo in me, not a lot. I'm a Gen X. We're either totally one way or the other. We don't seem to have a middle ground. Anyway, although maybe I'm the middle ground because I'm a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I read the cards and the card said there was lots of change. And I thought, well, I could have read these at any point in the last 2 years, really, because of my mum going and then selling the house and moving here and all the changes that are going on here. And when I look at my own business and what's changed, I realize that my marketing has had to change in line with that. I'm not seeing any new clients. I haven't seen any new clients for 3 years now, I think. So it's only my old repeat clients coming back. My marketing is still done by Angeline. I don't post. I do post occasionally, but I'm not really in social media. I prefer that one-to-one experience. I prefer meeting people. When I say one-to-one, they can be online. They can be down the video like yourself or through your headphones like yourself. That's what I mean by one-to-one, is having that true conversation. It's being able to connect. So when we look at marketing, which is where we're going with this session, we have to think about how it's evolving as well. Just like my business is evolving and I'm changing and I'm looking at new challenges and I'm looking at doing different things and offerings, some, simple offerings to my client base. And you may or may not see them on Instagram. I've actually started a new Instagram page because I'm writing a book as well. How much change can a person crush into their life? Quite a lot. It's what I'm going for. So when we do some marketing, we sit down and we do some, right? We can kind of feel the love for everything drain out of ourselves, can't we? So my biggest tip, and the thing that got me business throughout everywhere and still gets me messages, is Google My Business. Because once people have the diagnosis, they're Googling it. And Google My Business comes up. So if you play with Google, Google will play with you. So make sure you've got the Google Analytics on your website. Make sure that you're in Google My Business. That's the biggest tip that I can give you. that I give to all of my mentees. I don't necessarily yell it out loud, so you have to be listening to find out. But that is one of the biggest places. And when we look about, because we have to do updates in there, and we can use the same content we're using in social media, we particularly should use that same content. So if somebody finds us online, they've Googled us, they've found us, and then they go searching, because remember, they have to have multiple points of contact before they see you if they haven't had a word of mouth referral. Then they will go to social media, check you out. They want to see that same branding, that same coloring, that same person, that same look. So you can totally take everything from one place to the other. And with your Google My Business update, it's only 500 words. So it's really short, really easy to do. But what words are we going to use, and how are we going to design it? And how are we going to make sure that we're not burning out? Because willpower with marketing is a problem. There is an energy economics problem there. Angeline's available. Let me know if you want to take on Angeline's services to do it for you. Otherwise, if you're going to do it yourself, then hopefully what's going to happen today, if you're in the strategy lab, you've got AI prompts, you've got a workbook out here in podcast land. We're going to still talk about what we can do. I mean, I've just given you my biggest tip, haven't I? So it's not like I'm not giving you anything out here in podcast land. I love that you're here. And I love that I've got more people in the strategy lab since I've started doing it this way. I've had more signups. People are getting more content. I can see that they're interacting, they're downloading these workbooks, and that they're doing the work and that they're having a look through. And that's absolutely brilliant. Being part of the strategy lab means, of course, that the content's all there for you. So you can dip in and out when you need it. Got to be in it to win it, right? So marketing can burn us out. It's very easy unless it's something you enjoy doing, in which case you're going, I love doing it. I've got everything lined up in Canva, ready to go. I've got AI doing all of my wording. I've got everything sorted. But then you might also be thinking, hang on a minute. I do all of that, but I actually have very little interaction. On a lot of my posts, I have very little interaction as well. And that's because social media wants us to be live. It wants us to post things live. Now, that's hard to do when you're paying someone else to do it, because they are doing what I'm doing now, and that they're doing everything in bulk, aren't they? I'm sitting down and I'm going to do this podcast, and then I'm going to do the encourager for next week, like straight after this, because we want to sit down and get a task completed. We want to be able to get the work done for the next length of time so that we can get on with other tasks. So I haven't managed to write a chapter in my book for a week, so I'm getting a little bit angsty. I want to get back to my book. I've had some really good ideas. It's a mystery, by the way. I'm not helping you with nutrition or herbs. It's a mystery. The main protagonist, Roz, is of course a herbalist, but hey, we've got to write about what we know, don't we? So moving past that, we don't have to post daily. That is not what it is all about. It's about just being consistent where we can. It's about finding where people are on your site. And as you start posting, you will see how many people saw it. You will see when you go into the background of any of these apps, they will show you the best time to be online, the best time to be posting when your followers are online looking at things. What we want to avoid is that guilt cycle, right? Where we have a burst of effort and then we burn out, then we go quiet, then we feel guilty, and then we have another burst, and then we go, and it's like this treadmill that we're getting on and off. And sometimes we do all this burst of energy and then we don't even post it. We've created it and it just sits there. And that's not marketing. What we need is a system. We don't want a series of emergencies. Okay. So I've decided to call it energy economics, as you know. And I think that we have to remember that creative energy is finite and it's shared, isn't it, with our clinical energy, and both can run flat. I do talk about the empathy bucket. We've got an energy bucket, an empathy bucket, whatever you want to call it, and we're dipping into it all the time, and then it runs out. And we have to take a break. No amount of coffee or stimulants or guarana or whatever, not that we take guarana, but are going to help you once that energy bucket is depleted. The only way to have a baseline in that bucket is to make sure that we're nourished, we're calm, we're relaxed, and our nervous system is okay, and we're not burnt out.
we want to batch things. We need to batch what we do. And the easiest way to do that is to think about how we're going to do that, how we're going to use the resources to hand. I do use AI, and the other half of my brain is going, you are ruining the planet. It uses so much water. The government isn't telling them that they've got to use solar energy. I mean, IKEA is covered in solar panels here in Adelaide, and yet the AI buildings in Sydney are using all of their water and they're not recycling water. They're not being forced to use their own resources. And here I am using that AI. In my defense, sometimes you just ask a question thinking that you're doing a Google search and you'll get an AI answer. So sometimes it's not what you want at all, and then you have to flick past that, but it's already generated that AI reply. So I think it's a good idea that when you use it productively, you use it in a session, you use it as you need it, and then you go and do other things. Okay, so that you're not trickle using it all the time. You're constantly using those resources. You're using it productively and the way that you need to use it for you. All right. Consistency isn't daily. We don't need to do things daily. We just do need to be consistent. And the way to do that is to batch content. Okay. So consistency can be one day a week and a slightly bigger posting, a live one from you. If you've done all of those pictures or all those illustrations or whatever it is on Canva, if you have Canva on your phone, you can save them into your photos, and then you can put them up as though they're live, even though you did them previously because you kept the captions in your notes or whatever. So it looks live, you'll get a better engagement, and yet it's not live at all. It depends how often you personally are on social media. I'm personally not on social media very often at all. So for me, that doesn't work. I'm not there. I don't hang out on social media. Sunday evening, I hang out on social media. So if it's not there on a Sunday evening, I'm really not going to see it because I'm really not there other times. It's totally random. If I'm on social media, it might be because I'm on the train, and I go to town maybe once a week on the train. So we have to remember how to not burn out and yet still get the job done. So we want to build once, don't we? We want to build a framework, and then we want to let it run, and we want to live our lives. That's the way all of our work really should be. We should have boundaries and systems in place. And the lack of boundaries is so obvious all of the time. Texting with your clients, don't do it unless it's on a formulaic basis. So I've talked to you about my weight loss Thursday, such a ring to it, as I've always said. But I texted those clients on a Thursday. It was the only time. And I said to them, I will be texting you on a Thursday. Thursday is our text communication day. Otherwise, we will work via email, or I will see you in clinic. I was very firm about the fact that it was Thursday. I'm catching up about your week now. You can't reply much in a text, but it means I have that contact with you. So I set my boundaries in place, and they all stuck to it. I never had a Friday night, oh no, I'm drinking too much. What do I do? I never had anything because I'd set my boundaries. And those boundaries really help us maintain that bucket of energy or empathy that we need to be able to run our lives and our businesses and everything else that goes with it. Because running your own business is a lot more energy than working for somebody else. So in the Strategy Lab, I have again created a workbook. Now that is made with AI, because if I were to sit down with Microsoft and do a workbook, it would take me all day and I'd be in tears and my laptop would possibly be smashed. Whereas I can talk through to Claude. Claude will listen to this, and Claude already has all of what I want in the workbook. And then it's created by AI so I'm just sitting there, I type it all in. I say what I want. Claude now has the format of what they're all going to look like. So each one goes into that same look and that same structure. And it just saves me so much time because we've got that template. All right. So what are we doing in the Strategy Lab? So if you've joined, then your workbook will have, let me just double check to make sure I've got this right. It will have first the seasonal hook. Now, seasons aren't necessarily winter, summer, spring, and autumn, but I explain that in the workbook itself. I've got prompts there for AI to help you with that so that you can copy them straight out. Yes, you have to fill in certain things, because you're asking AI, can you write this for me? But it can't conjure anything out of thin air. It needs you to tell it what it needs to write. So the prompts are, hi, my name is blah, this, I'm a naturopath, or I'm a nutritionist, or I'm a whatever I am. This is the people I serve. This is, and so on and so forth. So that AI knows exactly who it's writing for and what it's writing. Then when you get things, it didn't used to, but now it gives you lots of options. And, is this your voice? So, ChatGPT, Claude, whichever one you're using, and there are lots out there, all have a free level. So you could be using more than one. And what you can do if you're doing the free is you can then say, once you've set it out and that free one goes, hey, you run out of space-time continuum, wait till it comes back up and then say, please write me a synopsis so I can start a new chat. And that keeps your chat short. Okay. Right. Now, if you're on the public feed, thank you so much for being here. I've loved chatting with you. It's really cool to have you. And I really appreciate that you're here. Let me know what it is that you would like me to talk more about and how I can help you. But obviously the place to be is inside the Strategy Lab. Or if you want that in-person contact, we do have the clinical group, the Monday clinical and business group. And if you're called Katie, you're probably already in there with a C or a K, a Y or an IE. Everyone is currently called Katie in there. It was very funny. I'm like, hi, Katie. Everyone. There are people with other names, don't worry. We've got a pharmacist in there. We've got all sorts of people in there. It's really cool. So there is that on alternate Mondays, and that's where we talk about your business. You have access to the Strategy Lab. You have access to a lot more content. You get to choose, not the pediatric one, but you get to choose one of my other content options as well. Generally, people pick the coaching course as their freebie. You get one-to-ones with me quarterly. And of course, I'm seeing you twice a month. And there's the Strategy Lab content. So there's a lot of support. And that's what it's about. It's not about burnout. It's not about turning up. I can't do that because I'll be exhausted. I haven't got anything to say on a Monday because it's not some big intensive struggle. There's no homework. It's a discussion about what's going on with you in your business. It might be about your clients. It might be about something in business. It might be just a generalized question. Sometimes we end up just talking about, the different forms of calcium and things. It just depends what people want to talk about on that day. But it's not hard. It's not an exam, right? So thank you so much for joining me. And I really look forward to seeing you in a fortnight where for everyone, there's the encourager. For everyone, I will be talking to you whether you're in the Strategy Lab or out there in podcast land, whether you're on the YouTube account and now Apple, if I ever get it sorted, also has the video links as well. It's causing me a lot of stress right now. So I'm taking it very slowly. Things that are stressful, I find better to do slowly. I give them their set time and work it out so that I do it in that time. And if it isn't achieved, I walk away. So there's no broken computers or laptops. So thank you very much for being here. And I look forward to checking in with you and hearing from you. You can email me anytime, geraldine@mentoringwithgeraldine.biz. I will open it during working hours. I look forward to catching up with you soon. Have a good one. And if we're in the Strategy Lab, hang on a minute and we'll get into your work.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. Bye for now.